All right, Noah, let's take a look at your paper. Emily, format first. This has got to be Times New Roman font, so fix that. This is 15 November 2016, spelled out exactly like that, no punctuation. Week title, doesn't have anything to do with your theme for the paper, anything else. All right, so you start off with this quote. This is exactly what I was talking about in class. Anything that is not your own wording, you need citation for. This is obviously something you had to look up, so you would need to cite that. And again, you start with what it is, which is kind of jumping right into the topic, but then you don't extend it at all. There should be another sentence after this that extends that thought instead of jumping right into the play. Now, here's another thing. You did not know that this was written in 1606 when we got going, so you need to cite that as well. All right, this is a very long sentence here. Not that the length is a problem, but there's a lot of stuff that's you stuff in here. So he may have been born, but until his wife, peer pressure he may not have been triggered. Stop right there, period, or maybe even semicolon. Because this is a whole nother train of thought here. Now, this is actually an interesting concept, which we'll get to your thesis statement in a second, which isn't good. I like the idea that he had all the makings of a hero, but it was his disorder that ultimately sunk him. And I like that maybe even as a theme, like how do these symptoms make him less of a hero? I thought that was an interesting concept that you brought up. So you had his 4 symptoms, which is fine. But all you're saying is, guess what? He had this disorder and it led to his downfall. What did I tell you not to do with your thesis statement? Say this is his disorder and it led to his downfall. There has to be a theme. It has to have something that's tying all these main points together. So work on that too. All right. So we start off with exactly what the symptom hallucination does, which again, you do not have an in-text citation. Let me be clear to you, Noah, in college, this is automatic, zero possible kicking out of college. Anything that's not your own writing has to be cited. Other thing, you don't have a clear topic sentence. What are we going to talk about with hallucinations? Start with that clear topic sentence about how do hallucinations affect Macbeth. So you're going to talk about Banquo's ghost, which is fine. Once the ghost appears and sits in Macbeth's seat, comma, he becomes immensely distressed, is I think what you're trying to say. Now, ironically, the statement that you use to describe this is just him saying that, geez, I wish Banquo was here, and he said he was going to be here, and he's not. What a jerk. You know what I mean? Like, that's not really distressed at this particular point. There's many more lines that you could have used for his distressedness at him missing. Then, just when you should be like diving into the thesis, they start not to believe in his leadership abilities. I prove that. With hallucination, though, sometimes comes erratic behavior, and Macbeth proves this. So I'm assuming this is your transition statement now, and I know you're going to prove it, so you don't have to put this here at all. So I guess this is an okay transition statement. At least it's viable, but you haven't really done enough in this paragraph because you don't have a strong thesis statement. You don't have a whole lot to talk about down here. Stronger thesis statement, stronger things to talk about. You need a topic sentence. You need a better quote here to explain exactly what's going on with this symptom and with Macbeth. Okay, so your second paragraph is about dementia, which the way you define it, which again you don't have a works cited entry for or a in-text citation for. Memory loss, personality change, or an inability to logically reason is definitely personality change that he has, which I would agree. So he uses personality at the beginning. Is spoken as a noble hero of the land. I would just put the colon right here. Don't worry about it. Maybe in the beginning of the play, a sergeant speaks highly of Macbeth as a noble hero of the land, colon, and then introduce this. Okay, and literally this is all the passage you need. Because that's, all that you, because it's just about how he kills everybody. That's not necessarily about how he's a noble hero. I guess it does show that he's, fighting people. As his disorder grows, though, he begins to act more erratic and not like the Macbeth he used to be. Now, this is from Act 3, Scene 2. This is him and his wife talking, which kind of shows how, but you haven't set it up really that well. I mean, I've read this play dozens of times, and I don't even remember exactly what he's talking about in this section. So, I know he's talking to his wife about his plan to kill Banquo, but I would rather do a compare and contrast. Like, this is what they called him at the beginning of the play. What does Macduff call him, or Malcolm call him at the end? Or even young Seward, right before he fights, he calls him the devil. So how do you go from brave, somebody to the devil? Use that as a compare and contrast. Now, here's where I'm losing focus here with you. Okay, so you have this about his dementia, inability, and his personality change, which I still think you haven't fully developed yet. Because as soon as you say this quote, this looks like a transition statement, how he's thinking about Banquo. Now, if we go back to your introduction, your next symptom is irrational mistrust or suspicion, which I think works well with Banquo. What doesn't work well in this paragraph is you don't have any kind of topic sentence that explains that this is the next symptom. And you talk about how he mistrusts Banquo, which that part is okay. He grew suspicious of Macbeth, so there's your I like this idea. He's beginning to not trust Banquo, fearing he and few others were starting to think that he murdered Duncan for the crown. Again, he says, I don't know where you guys got this from. It was more than just you, Noah. He never states, I think Banquo thinks I killed Duncan. You would not find a passage like that, okay? Because this quote that you use is just saying that he doesn't trust Banquo because actually this quote you use is when he's talking to the murderers and says that every minute he's alive I am in danger. So it doesn't really have anything to do with the prophecies or anything. It's more about his sons becoming king, which the murderers don't know anything about it, but he does. So that quote doesn't work well for explaining what comes before this. Now here's the part that I also don't get. Now you jump back from dementia back into hallucinations, which was your previous paragraph about hallucinations. So I'm not sure how this got dumped down here. So how does that work with inability to trust people? So this obviously needs to move because it doesn't have anything to do with this. So I'm really having a hard time with these two paragraphs trying to fit together here, because the end of this paragraph needs to go up here. This you need to really do a better job of comparing and contrast his personality change and what that means to the story. This you need a better topic sentence. Even though your example is good, your quote is not. And then again, you need to go back into a strong thesis statement. So still some things that you have to do. Now, you also say, this is one of your main points, an inability to relax, which you don't touch on at all. And I'm actually glad that you don't, because I don't know if it's a good point to really bring up with Macbeth. But that's not one, because here's your conclusion. So you need some time to either develop another main point because you're way short on length, or really rework the other ones. All right, Noah, don't get cutesy with the conclusion, okay? Restate your thesis statement. Take a sentence to go over each main point, and then end on a strong clincher that somehow relates to your theme, relates to the beginning of the story, whatever. This whole paragraph is dedicated to blaming Lady Macbeth, which you do talk about at the beginning, but ironically never talk about in your body paragraphs. And until we get to the very end, you finally bring it up at the end. So figure out a way. If you're going to talk about Lady Macbeth and how she changed him from a hero to a monster, that's fine. But it's got to be all throughout the body paragraphs. And do not get into the end and say, oh, maybe she had a disorder too. That's way off topic, has nothing to do with the paper. Okay? All right. We got a problem here. Get rid of that. Lo and behold, you do have sources. Why were they not in your paper? I don't know. But again, realize that that's not good when you're going on to college. Okay, you get rid of this. We already know it's the Mayo Clinic down here, so get rid of that and move that down, which is going to move this somewhere else. And then just make sure you use these sources in your paper. All right, Noah, you got some work to do to make this better, so hopefully we'll see a rewrite from you.